What's going on, you guys? Sorry about that. I had to go out and come back in. My camera wouldn't connect. Hey, y'all. So we are here for part 3 of the Married to Medicine of it all. We are here for the last part, the reunion. And listen, here's the thing about Bravo with these reunions. They found out that they could make money if they stretched these reunions out and gave us these 3-part reunions. First, it was a 1-part, then it was a 2-part. And if you got a 3-part, that meant that it was an extra juicy season. Now, just expect a 3-part reunion for every single one of these shows because the money is good. They can extend the season. They can get more advertising dollars, yada, yada, yada. This reunion really could have been a 2-parter because I'm going to be honest with y'all. We spent 80% of this reunion talking about the 22 minutes that they spent on that sandbar. Come to find out, Dr. Eugene said they spent 22 minutes on that, excuse me, on that sandbar. So they really, in all reality, ladies and gentlemen, they could have gave us a 2-parter. But let's get into what we did get. Excuse me, everybody. Hey, everybody coming in. So let's get into it. So here's the reality of the situation, y'all. Excuse me. As soon as I went live, here I go coughing. Sorry about that. We left off with Simone and Quad fighting. Baby, the best part of that fight to me was the way Dr. Jackie dismissed T. When Sweet T tried to come back there to talk to Simone, and Dr. Jackie said, I need you to go. Oh, I need you to go, okay? I need a minute. She started off real nice, and I guess Sweet T wasn't moving fast enough for her because she said, I need a minute. Can you just give me a minute? Can you give me the room for a minute? And then finally she was like, I need you to go. I need you to go. I said, oh. Baby, the way she dismissed Sweet Tea out that dressing room. But we really didn't garner anything new than what we've been talking about for the last week because we kind of all figured out what that fight was about. Here's the reality of the situation. Curtis and Dr. Gregory never stopped being friends. They have remained friends throughout the divorce, and Quad knew that, right? Cecil and Gregory being friends is something totally different than Gregory being on the show. Simone holds grudges. Let's just call a thing, y'all. Simone holds grudges. I don't know what her sign is. I don't care what her sign is, but Simone holds grudges. Okay? She is probably still mad at Quad from that Sister Circle season when Quad was hardly coming around and she was always late. And when she made that speech at her birthday party and, said my real friends, right? Simone is probably still mad about that. Let's just call a thing. So when Simone said it's your karma, she wasn't talking about what happened to that baby at Quad's pool. She's talking about, in her mind, Quad, you threw us aside when you got a new set of friends, when you was down to the Sister Circle, you kicked us to the curb. So baby, we kicked you to the curb and we got you back. We doubled down on it. And that's really what it was. Then Quad was like, well, me and you weren't even speaking. So I didn't give you my ass to kiss. Me and you weren't speaking. Then Quad brought up, I was there for you. I've been there for you. I was there for you. I was who was knocking on doors, helping you with your father. Now, what Simone said was, girl, you was there as long as them cameras were there. Baby, when them cameras weren't there, you weren't there. I didn't hear from you. You didn't check on me. You didn't reach out to me. You didn't make sure I was good. So you was only around when them cameras were around. Baby, all I can say about that whole situation is what I have been telling y'all since last year. And I know I've said it, and I'm going to keep saying it because this is how I feel. Quad is not y'all friend. At least not the way y'all want her to be. Y'all ain't friends like that. Y'all are co-workers to Quad. That is it, and that is all. Y'all are co-workers to Quad. And if you did not understand that you were a co-worker to Quad, then what you need to understand, when you didn't know she had a whole man, and it seemed like all her other friends knew about King, that is how you know. And I don't understand why Simone is so in her feelings about it, because all the rest of these reality girls get it. When we ain't filming, we ain't friends. Now, for the people who are friends, they maintain a friendship outside of filming. I've told y'all this before. You know, we see them do things when the cameras aren't rolling. We see them do things when they're not filming a season. These are people who have a friendship outside of filming. It's just like any other job. You have people who you fuck with when it's work, and if, let's say if there's an after work function and you might show up, y'all might laugh and joke at happy hour if the job is hosting a karaoke night or something. You might laugh and joke with them in that setting. But when it's time to go home, baby, it's time to go home. Y'all don't call each other the next day and say, do you want to do brunch? No, ma'am, I saw you at work all day yesterday, and then I did the little happy hour, and we laughed and we kikied at the happy hour, and we might have a few jokes next week when we see each other. We might have something to talk about next week, around the water cooler. But, baby, we still ain't friends. And I think that is how Quad handles y'all. Yeah, there might be things that y'all do here and there outside of filming, but when Quad really want to go out to dinner and Kiki, where she can let her hair down and really just be who she gonna be, y'all are not the people she calls. Now, every once in a while, she might call Dr. Heavenly. Now, her and Dr. Heavenly have built, I think, I'm gonna say, a tenuous friendship at best. Tenuous, because I still think it's built on a house of cards. I still don't think it's a solid foundation there, but I think it's a tenuous relationship. Toya don't hang out with Heavenly during the off season. Heavenly said she don't even talk to Toya when they not filming. Her and Toya do not speak, right? But I don't understand why is Simone so caught up on it when the rest of the ladies, they kind of get it. But neither here nor there, child. The fight was what it was, and now Dr. Simone is still shading Quad every chance she gets. To me, Simone, you too old for that shit. I'm sorry, you just too old for that shit. At the end of the day, you ain't got to be friends. You don't have to respect. You don't have to like. But girl, just say what it was. Y'all wanted to bring Gregory back on the show, and I think everybody had their own reason. And I'm gonna go ahead and be honest. I think everybody had their own reasons for wanting Dr. Gregory to be back on this show. Simone's reason was she wanted to get back at Quad. Point blank, period. She wanted to get back at Quad. That is what I believe. I do believe, and I know that y'all, I know y'all give it to me some time about Dr. Heavenly. I get that. But I believe Dr. Heavenly when she says she wanted Sweet Tea on the show to help save Quad's job. Remember, Quad has been on and off the chopping block for the last couple of years. And Dr. Heavenly was like, she needed a storyline because she didn't have one for the last 2 years, and she needed a storyline. Now, I believe that do I think that she was being messy? Absolutely. And for Quad's part in this, I think if production had just decided to bring Gregory and Sweet Tea on without the blessing of the cast, I think Quad would have been like, damn, production did me dirty. Because let's be clear, that's what they did with Phaedra. They didn't ask none of them. They just said they just found out Phaedra was being added. They didn't ask them, well, do you think this would be a good fit? They just thought they had a juggernaut. They had an established Bravo star. They had an established fan base, and they said, we're going to bring Quad on. But see, that's not how that happened with Gregory. With bringing Dr. Gregory back on, you had their blessing. They were cool with it. And I think that is what hurt Quad. If production had just said, we bringing Dr. Gregory back on because he got a storyline, he getting married, and this is a couple that's married to medicine, and we think it'll be good for the ratings, and it's going to be a little messy, and the ladies were like, we object. We don't want to do this. But that's not how it went down. So anyway, child, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it is what it is, child. Anyway. So then we went back to the guys because all this fighting was happening while the guys were still on stage trying to do what they was trying to do. So they asked Gregory, first of all, Gregory, sir, if your pants weren't going to cover up your socks, then you should have just went sockless. When you crossed your legs and you realized how high them pants came up on your legs and that we could see your whole sock, baby, either get some longer socks or take the socks off. See, Sky didn't have no socks on. What's his name? Toya's husband, Eugene, his socks were long enough that when he crossed his legs, we couldn't see the top of his sock. Gregory, I don't know what the freak you had going on with them pants, sir, but that wasn't a good look. Okay, that just wasn't a good look. Neither here nor there. The first thing we talked about was not the first thing, but they brought up the way. Hey, everybody coming in. They brought up the way that Dr. G was talking to Sweet Tea in that scene we saw. And two things stood out to me. King was like, see, you thought you could still talk to Quad that way. That was the problem, that you thought you could still talk to Quad that way. And then the second thing that hit me was when Andy said, basically, don't you think you owe her an apology for talking to her like that? He said, you're right. I should apologize. See, that scene was filmed 4-5 months ago. If you haven't apologized yet, then you don't think you owe her an apology. Don't say now, oh, I think you owe, oh yeah, you're right, I should apologize. That didn't happen last week. That happened 5 months ago. So you don't feel like you owe her an apology. You feel like what you said was justified. You were cool with what you said. And I would be honest with you, if I was Sweet Tea's cousin, uncle, daddy, brother, me and you would have a problem. Me and you would definitely have a problem. You said that you said they putting King on the I think they are, because I told y'all from the beginning when that whole sandbar situation went down and people was arguing with me, and that's fine. Everybody has a right to their opinion, but I told y'all from the beginning the way I saw it. I told y'all from the beginning the way I saw it, and I told y'all then King was being a bully. And Dr. Damon, sit your ass down. And y'all know I don't have no beef with Dr. Damon, but until now. Dr. Damon, if you don't go sit your ass down, sir, let me tell you why you need to go sit your ass down. Sir, this is why you need to go sit your ass down. When they were like, there's never a reason. And I was with Cecil, because Cecil was like, I'm going to push back on that. Like, if sometimes the women can come out their mouths disrespectful. And you're right. As a man, no, I shouldn't yell at, cuss out, threaten nobody's wife. But, oh, absolutely, I should be able to address it. If a wife, if like, I believe that Dr. Heavenly called Cecil a bitch one time, or was it Eugene? She called one of them a bitch. I 100% understand why Cecil would be like, no. They don't get to say whatever they want to say about us, and we ain't supposed to be able to respond or have a response. Now, again, I ain't saying you cuss them out. I'm not saying you disrespect them and call them out their name. But no, you don't have carte blanche to say whatever the fuck you want to say about a man, and just because he's a man or because he's no, absolutely not. Now, I do understand if something needs to be addressed, you pick up the phone and you address it. But I just don't agree with when King was like, she could say whatever she want to say. You better not say nothing to her. The fuck? Absolutely not. But that's how I feel about it. Neither here nor there. So then they asked Greg, why did he feel the need, or why did he feel like it was okay to just run up and to just run up and say what he had to say to King. And Greg was honest. Greg said, I was drunk. Child, he said inebriation. He said inebriation. I was drunk. Period. So then you said, wait a minute, hold on. I think King picked the wrong time on the beach, but it was no reason for Greg to tell him, I cursed your girl out. Greg thought because King was new to the group that he could sun him and the other guys would back him up. I think that, here's what I think. I think that I just think Gregory's an asshole. I don't think you're wrong, Cameron. I think Gregory is just an asshole. And he's used to saying whatever the fuck he want to say to people. And for whatever reason, he's used to getting away with it. You know what I'm saying? I just think just an asshole. A narcissistic one at that, you know? And I'm certainly making no excuse. Here's the thing. He doesn't have a right to talk to Quad or any other woman crazy. Let me be clear. But what I'm saying is Quad doesn't have the right to talk to him crazy either, and he can't respond. I just don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that. And I'm going to say what I said. I'm going to stand by it. I know other people don't agree with me, and that's okay. I still love y'all. But I think that Quad was wrong. And here's my problem. So they go on break and all the people come back on stage. Everybody comes back on stage. And the guys find out about the fight backstage and this, that, and the other. Here's my whole thing. My problem with Quad, and we're going to get back to the fight. We'll get back to Simone and Quad and the argument, child. But here's my whole thing. My problem with Quad is that Quad never took any responsibility for her part. And I do believe that Quad played a part in what happened that night. First of all, Quad was drunk. And when they brought it up, they brought up Dr. Mimi's confessional, when she said that the rum was talking, Quad wouldn't admit that she was inebriated. Quad, you were clearly drunk. You were clearly inebriated. When Dr. Gregory brought up the part that he felt some kind of way when Quad brought up the baby part, and Quad was like, I just want to let you know that I'm here for you and that I support you and I'm happy for you. Girl, it was listen, at the very least, acknowledge how they could have taken it as a dig. You may not have meant it that way, but you literally have a woman here that is saying, I'm having problems getting pregnant. I'm trying to go through IVF. I have endometriosis and I've had to have surgery. For you to be like, I don't know why y'all keep saying Toya started it. Toya did not start it, in my opinion. How did Toya start it? I don't understand how Toya started it. But either way, in my opinion, I don't see how Toya started it. When Quad turned, to me, it was whatever it was. Quad was the one that started bringing up the baby. And again, at the very least, acknowledge. Toya said the baby shower comment first. But you don't understand how Toya making a comment about a baby shower would hit different than it coming from Quad. You don't understand how Quad talking about, I'm here for it and I'll even throw the baby shower. You don't understand how that would hit different. I don't see how because Toya and Sweet Tea at this point in the seasons, Toya and Sweet Tea were still friends. So Toya saying she would throw the baby shower ain't the same as Quad saying she would throw the baby shower. Once she mentioned how awkward Greg was looking. Y'all, listen, everybody sees it the way they see it. I don't see that Toya started it. Even if Toya made a comment about the baby shower, again, that goes back to what my friends say versus somebody I don't fuck with. And here's a woman who was married to my husband, who my husband wanted a baby. They didn't have a child together. I'm having fertility issues, regardless of whether people think I lied on my uterus or not. That's a different conversation. And here's this woman who I got beef with. We ain't never had nothing nice to say to or about each other. And here she is talking about, I'll throw the baby shower. I'm here for it. I'll do this. I'll do. And like I said, at the very least, I'm not. What do you mean you can't fault her for that being a personal issue? That's not. I don't understand how you feel like I'm faulting her. What I'm saying is, it's not a personal problem. Okay, never mind. Y'all feel how y'all feel about it. I'm gonna keep, because we've been talking about this all season. It is what it is. At the very least, I feel like Quad should have acknowledged how that can hit different. Y'all don't have to agree, and I love y'all anyway. But at the very least, if I'm sitting in a group of people and there's a person in that group that I don't fuck with and don't fuck with me, you don't get to speak on those types of things. I don't give a fuck because you don't mean it. Quad didn't mean that shit. Quad was drunk as fuck. Let's just call the thing a thing. Quad was drunk as fuck and she was playing. She didn't mean that shit. She was fucking with them. Now that's my opinion, and it is what it is. I ain't gonna keep arguing about that shit happened 7, 8 episodes ago. It is what it is. But it does not justify Gregory telling her she got a big fucking mouth, because he don't have a right to talk to her crazy either. Okay? He was wrong for saying it. I'm sorry. Now, he didn't tell her shut the fuck up. That is not what he said. However, I still feel like he ain't need to say nothing. But neither here nor there. It wouldn't, if Heavenly had said that shit, if Heavenly had said it, it'd have been a problem too. Because Sweet Tea and Heavenly don't fuck with each other either. But Toya saying it ain't a big deal. If Simone had said it, it wouldn't have been a big deal. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm friends with somebody, they can say something to me that somebody, and let's be clear, it's not even that they're not friends. They damn near enemies. What's my assumption, DB? My assumption is what? That it would have hit different if it was coming from Toya or Simone? Okay. Well, is your assumption that whatever it was that you said? It's all assumptions. All these are just my opinions anyway. All of these are just my opinions. Okay. So, child, I don't remember what happened next, child. Because honestly, really after that, it really wasn't a whole lot more that happened after that. Because like I said, 90% of what they talked about was the damn sandbar, child. Quad said that, she's not making the comments about King to get under anybody's skin. She really, truly does. That's just how she feel about King, child. She in love, and she just want the world to know that she in love, child. And I can believe that. I've never been the kind of person, I've never been the kind of person that has been that like, I'm not a PDA person. I'm not a I love you person. I'm just not, that's not me, but I know there are people who are like that. And I honestly think that Quad is just in love and she happy in love. She ain't been in no relationship on this show in a long, or at least a happy relationship in a long time. And she did have to watch Gregory last season goo goo gaga over Sweet Tea. You know what I'm saying? And we know he put a little extra sauce on it for Quad's sake. We know that. So I'm not mad at Quad for putting a little extra sauce on it I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that. I want to know why he gave her a window for a baby when he knew he married a much younger woman. I can't stand Greg. Well, I can tell you can't stand Greg, child. I can tell you can't stand Greg. I think that's the problem when you marry an older person or you marry a younger person. Those are the types of problems that people run into. Both of them knew on both ends. And like people say, you're gonna pay on the front end or pay on the back. You marry an older man, yes, there might be some things that are in the check positive column, but there's also some things that's on the other side of the column. There are also some things that are on the other side of the column, and that's one of them. Greg, you knew when you married that woman, But I think Greg thought he was going to be like wham bam and they was going to be pregnant within a year or two. You know what I'm saying? And now here they are in their third round of IVF or getting ready to start their third round of IVF and she still don't have a baby, So this didn't happen the way he thought it was going to happen. Now, I keep telling y'all, people, the movies will have you believe that all women got to do to get pregnant is lay down and open their legs for 15 minutes and whop, here come a baby 9 months later. And that just ain't how the shit happens, Child. Right. Greg been wanting a baby. So, child. Anyway. So then Quad and Greg went back and forth about the divorce and stuff. Again, I don't care. I'm sick of the Quad Greg of it all. You know what I'm saying? But they went back and forth. Greg talking about something. I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And Quad was like, boy, please. Like, at the end of the day, I don't live in the state of Georgia and I'm certainly not a divorce attorney. So I don't know all the laws. Okay, I'm sorry, Nitwit. It was IUL. I'm sorry. You're right. It was IUL. It was IUL. They did 2 rounds of IUL. You're right. So with that being said, I think what happened in the divorce is probably what was fair and what should have happened in a divorce. I don't think Greg did Quad any favors, and I don't think Quad did Greg any favors. I think based on the laws in the state of Georgia, they didn't have any kids. Based on the fact that for the majority of their marriage, Greg was probably the breadwinner for the majority of their marriage. We know that towards the end, Quad made more, probably made good money, maybe just as much, if not more than Greg. But certainly in the beginning, he was the breadwinner. I feel like what happened in their divorce was what was supposed to happen in their divorce, right? We know he got to keep the house. He took Quad's name off the deed. Quad walked away with whatever she walked away with. You know what I mean? I just really feel like that was what was supposed to happen. Now, again, I don't live in the state of Georgia, and I'm certainly not a divorce attorney, and I'm not up on all the laws. But I feel like for 7 years of marriage, I feel like that was pretty much, it was a wash. I just feel like Greg probably had to buy Quad out of her half of the house, so she probably got some sort of monetary settlement with that. And she might have got a few extra dollars on top, and she got to take certain things that she wanted. We know she took the damn mattress. I mean, that bed, child. We know she took that sleep member. We know she took that sleep member bed, And for the most part, I feel like she walked away with what she had and he had what he had. You know what I mean? They didn't start no businesses together. I mean, we know he started his practice and she helped him, which I do believe she did help him, but it wasn't in her name. Like her name wasn't on it. So, for them to be, when I say them, for Greg to be arguing over it, because Greg brought it up, Quad didn't. Then Dr. Heavenly did this fake ass half pretending like she was crying apology. Dr. Heavenly, and at this point, Dr. Heavenly, hey, girl, nobody cares about your apologies. Because nobody believes you anymore, Dr. Heavenly. Nobody believes anything that you apologize. So you apologize to contestants talking about, because I don't never want our friends to have to choose. I felt so, when they were, I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know whether to go to Quad or go to Simone. Girl, you ain't that close to Simone. You knew good and damn well where you were staying. And Jackie had to decide who she was going. Jackie didn't have to decide shit. Jackie knew where she was going. She was going to Simone. The people went where they were supposed to go. Okay? All of that voice trembling, fake ass crying, girl, nobody's here for that. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. Okay. Yeah. So there was that. Then, child, I don't know. Like I said, this part was pretty much, honestly, that was pretty much it. They just messed around. Scott, now Heavenly said they cut out the part with Scott and Contessa. There was a part with Scott, but they cut it out. But it probably just wasn't that damn interesting because who gives a fuck? I think Heavenly was saying how bad it was in the back. She doesn't want them to fight like that. But Heavenly be starting that shit. Like, again, Heavenly, like, Heavenly, you throw the rock and hide your hand. Like, for you to be sitting there like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But girl, you be poking that bear. You be poking that bear. If Quad was using him, I don't know. I never said Quad was using him. I mean, I know other people have said that. I didn't say Quad was using him. Yeah, I don't think Quad was using. I mean, well, I can't. Anyway, I never said that, child. But for you to be sitting there like, it was so bad, it was so bad, it was so bad, child. I didn't see you doing all that crying and quivering when you knocked over Dr. Jackie when y'all was down at that dude ranch down in Florida. Girl, Dr. Jackie was on her ass. You knocked that 60-year-old woman on her ass, and I didn't see all of that emotion and crying and quivering. And that's your road dog. I don't think she starts it, but she definitely will finish it in hell. Oh no, Dr. Heavenly be starting shit. In my opinion. And again, y'all know that I like Dr. Heavenly. I mean, I don't always like what come out her mouth. Lord knows I don't. And I certainly, I told y'all how I felt about that last situation. But Dr. Heavenly be starting the shit. In my opinion, Dr. Heavenly be starting that shit. And she certainly stirs the pot. Because a lot of times Dr. Heavenly be adding shit nobody asked her for. She puts stuff out there and she gives opinion on shit that nobody is asking her for. And she tells stuff that nobody asked her to say. So, like, for example, when she first started doing her YouTube channel, she used to come at Toya hard. Like, she used to come at Toya hard. And I was like, girl, Toya don't even talk about you. She don't mention you. She don't at you. Toya barely posts when they're not filming. She barely posts when the show is on. Very rare. Toya don't, I follow her social media. Toya don't even be posting like that. And she was going for, that's when the whole house situation was going on. And she, what she does is she allows people in the chat to get her revved up, which we all do. It's hard for us to not read the chat and not respond sometimes. Y'all see I do it. But she allows people in the chat to get her to say stuff that's gonna get her in trouble or to reveal things that she shouldn't be revealing. She allows the chat to get her in a lot of fucking trouble. And that's part of her problem. Dr. Heavenly should probably go when she should probably turn the chat off. I think if she would turn the chat off, she could stick to whatever her script is of what she's going to talk about, and she could probably save herself a lot of trouble. But she leaves the chat on, which we can turn the chat off. We don't have to look at the chat, but she leaves the chat on, and that's what gets her in trouble. I like that she gives. So here's the thing. That was part of the reason why I used to watch her. I didn't go over when she went to Patreon. I didn't go over to Patreon, but I used to watch Dr. Heavenly because she would give a lot of the behind the scenes. She would tell a lot of the tea. So I did enjoy that about it, but it still doesn't mean that it doesn't start shit. You see what I'm saying? Two things can be true at the same time. Dr. Heavenly repeating stuff. Two things can be true at the same time. It still starts shit. Okay. So then Gregory went up there and performed his song. Yeah. I'm convinced that Gregory is an infant in a man's body. I'm just convinced he's an infant. Sir, you are 50-something years old. And that was just embarrassing. And sweetie, you don't love that man because you let him do it. You thought it was a good idea. And y'all gonna get enough of letting Andy just let y'all be motherfucking buffoons. 2-3 seasons ago, it was Scott doing the song that he made to Contessa. Then you had Drew singing to the man in the basement right in his face. Y'all are gonna get enough. Next season, they're going to have Ashley Darby singing Killing Me Softly. Y'all don't gonna get enough of letting Andy turn y'all into motherfucking buffoons down here to this internet. Don't nobody tell me about what they do on the white shows. I don't care. I'm talking about us right now. I'm talking about us. Okay? I don't want nobody to say, well, Erica Jane did. I don't give a fuck about nobody else. We talking about us. Phil says, support me in my foolishness. The song was a joke and a good time, in his opinion. I don't think he was playing, though. That's the difference. I don't think he was joking. Just like Ashley ass ain't joking. Just like Scott wasn't joking. I don't think he's joking. See, if it was just a good old kiki, I would. But I do not think Gregory is joking. He really was trying to get that thing off his chest. He really felt like he did that. That man had a track and everything. Yeah, I don't think he was joking. You would cheer your man on too? Okay, well, call me a bad girlfriend. Because I would have been, listen, I'd have been sitting there looking like the rest of them. I'd have been, matter of fact, now let me say this. Let me be honest. Let me say this. If I couldn't talk him out of it, because I sure would have tried to talk him out of it. Let's be clear. I would have, and maybe Sweet Tea did, honey. I would have tried to talk him out of it. Now, if I couldn't talk him out of it, then yeah, I'm going to be his hype man. Now I am. If I couldn't talk him out of it, I'm going to be his hype man. Or hype woman. But trust and believe, I'd have been trying to talk him out of it. That's just me. Call me a bad girlfriend. Maybe that's why I'm single. Because I'm not. I'm just... He plays music. Why wouldn't he have a track? I guess. I play music too, but I'm not right. Never mind. It don't matter. Moving right along. Really be, I would have to. And when I couldn't, I would have been laughing so hard. Yeah, I mean, listen, if I can't talk him out of it, then yeah, all right, I'm going to be your hype. Fuck it. But trust and believe, up until the very last second, I'd have been on stage squeezing his thigh, trying to tell him, don't do it. Don't you do it. Don't do it. Like, I'd have been to the very last second. But if he decided he was gonna go for it, baby, I'd have been like, hell, I might have got up and did a little two-step. I might have had some choreography. I don't know. Not support me in my dreams. Woo, child. Anyway. Then they just kind of did a montage of all of the reads that the ladies did over the season. That was pretty much it, y'all. I stretched this out as long as I could because in all reality, they really could have took 70% of this episode, edited it out, and just added the rest to the first two episodes. Again, they stretched out this fight between Simone and Quad. And let me tell y'all what I don't want for next season. I do not want the Quad Simone storyline. And I know that's what we're going to get, y'all. I know that's what we're going to get. They're going to drag this shit out until they start filming. You know, they probably going to start filming pretty soon. They're going to drag this shit out, and then it's going to be the Simone Quad show. I do not want the Simone Quad show. But I really don't want... I don't want the Sweet Tea Quad show either. Like, I'm over it. I'm going to say this one last time before I get off of here. They need to demote Simone. They needed to demote Jackie to friends of. I don't think they should lose their jobs. I think they should just be demoted to friends of. Let them keep... Because here's the thing, too. Their salaries at this point are probably really, really high. Because they've been on since day one. Every year they get an increase. And like what... the way Dr. Heavenly explained how their salaries are broken down, but long story short, they're on like a scale. So their salaries for this, whatever production company that they're with, their salaries are set based on like however many years they've been there or whatever, right? That's what I want to say, Dr. Heavenly, the way she explained it. So it's really basically, because that's why last year when Quad was trying to renegotiate her salary, it was kind of like, girl, you know what it is? Like, we don't do that because we don't, this is what it is. This is what you make. If you've been here this amount of years, this is what you make. I think that's what Dr. Heavenly said. Correct me if I'm wrong for those of y'all who've heard her say it in the past. So with that being said, Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone are at the high end of this scale, because Quad wouldn't be at the high end of the scale. One, because Quad left and came back. Two, because even though Quad has been there since season 1, she wasn't a main character, for lack of a better word, since season 1. So Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone would have the highest salary. I feel like if you demote them and they have to take a pay cut, and they have the option of not wanting to take the pay cut, fine. But I really think that we should demote them. I think they need to put a rein on Dr. Heavenly. And what I mean on that is Dr. Heavenly should be limited on I'm not saying she need to stop her social media altogether, but I do think they need to reel her in with her damn with her social media. I really do. I think they need to reel her in with her social media. I think Toya needs to give us a storyline. I know she gave us the wine last season, and that was great to see Toya doing something different. And I'm here for that. You know what? I forgot Toya's salary too, but I think Toya can give us something. I mean, I'm gonna give Toya credit that she didn't give us a house storyline this season. We knew that she was building the house. We knew that the house was coming, but I'm glad that wasn't part of her storyline. I think her and Eugene, I would love to see her and Eugene continuing to show us how they went, because she mentioned that at the reunion, how they've been going to therapy and been working on things. I would love to see Eugene's practice continuing to expand and them moving into that. Their sons are getting to that, high school age. I would love to see more of that. I think Toya can bring us something, and that's up to her if she chooses to, but I think Toya can bring us something. Contessa and Scott, I just don't know if people... Here's the thing about Contessa and Scott. I don't think anybody is believing Contessa and Scott at this point. Andy likes Heavenly doing social media, and I think that social media is good for the show. But what I also think, though, is they need to limit. I'm not saying they need to stop her altogether, because I don't think they should stop her, but I do think they should limit. I think there should be some reins put on Dr. Heavenly, because I'm not even talking about her recapping the show. I'm talking about all this other bullshit that she gets into. I just think there's a point where she needs to stop. And that's just my opinion. The other thing is, yes, Contessa and Scott, girl, nobody believes y'all story. We think you faking for the camera, all of that. Y'all done filed for divorce 20 times and keep taking it back. Unless y'all are the type of couple that uses divorce as a scare tactic, as a negotiating thing. Like, unless y'all one of them people that's like, I'm breaking up with you. I'm filing for divorce, but I'm gonna take it back. Nobody's believing what y'all got going on. So you got to give us something different. I don't know. But I do think they need to bring back, I think they should give Mimi and her husband an extended role. She got off light this year. She didn't really have to tell us nothing. So I think she has more to tell us. I think there's a story there. And I also think bring back maybe one of the other ladies that I feel like they only gave a one and done to. And the reason why I say that is because we already know them. They're not 100% new, but I think they have something to bring. You know what I'm saying? I think they have something to bring. And maybe find a new doctor. But I do think, I don't want to use the word reboot, because I don't think it needs to be a reboot. But I do think there needs to be some shuffling. But I do not think there needs to, I don't like that term reboot. I think it's being overused. But I do think that there needs to be some shuffling. Here's the thing. Heavenly hasn't told us anything, and she's not going to. And that's part of, I told y'all this before, that's part of why she stays production's puppet, because as long as she's stirring up shit with other people, she ain't got to talk about herself. We're going to talk about Dr. Heavenly on at the tribe meeting later on today, honey. We got some Dr. Heavenly to talk about later on today. But I'm going to get out of here now. Plenty of people use divorce as they do. But that's what I'm saying. When you use it as a scare tactic, as a viewer, at this point, I just don't believe it. I'm like, okay, so y'all filed for divorce again. All right. And don't get me wrong, marriage is hard and people go through shit. I got that. I get it. But I really did like LA. I hated that. I feel like they didn't really give LA. I mean, I guess they did give LA a shot, but I don't know. I liked LA too. You gonna take my advice? Okay, what advice? I don't even know what advice I give. What advice did I give? Dr. Alicia moved from DC to Atlanta to be on the show. Try nobody tell her to do that. She was. She was thirsty to be on the show. I'm gonna just say that. I know there was a Houston, but I never saw it. I never watched it. I know, and I think Houston only got one season. At least LA got two. And I know they tried to do one in DC. I know y'all get sick of me saying this. But baby, DC wouldn't have worked. Well, let me not say that. I'm not gonna say DC would not have worked, but I'm not gonna say DC wouldn't have worked. I'm gonna just say it would have been interesting to see what doctors they would have gotten. I'm not gonna say it wouldn't have worked because I'm sure there's plenty of people in our area that would do a Married to Medicine show. I'm sure there were. So I shouldn't say it wouldn't have worked. I can't say that. But I would have been interested to find out who they would have gotten. I knew one of the wives and hubbies on Houston. I went to cousin. I didn't know. I never even watched it, Kenya. I never even watched this show. I knew one of the doctors that they were vetting for DC. I don't know how far that person got in the process, but I know one of the doctors they were vetting. Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm getting off of here. El Teddy will be live at 5, and I'll be over on the other channel for a tribe meeting at 6:45. We don't have a lot to talk about, but I do have a few things to talk about. Dr. Heavenly is one, child. We're gonna talk about Dr. Heavenly of it all. We're gonna talk about Kenya a little bit more because Kenya did respond to what Andy said, honey, yesterday. She did have some things to say. So we don't have a lot to talk. It's really not a lot going on in celebrity news, at least not stuff I care to talk about. Y'all know some stuff be going on in celebrity news that I don't get. I'm like Krishan and Blueface and broke up again. Y'all know I can't do them. Y'all know I gave them all I could get them. I tried. I gave them all I could get them. So it's a few things we're going to talk about, but we are going to talk about Dr. Heavenly. We're going to talk about Kenya responding to Andy. We're going to talk about the new show with the Bravo kids. That's really all I got for now, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.